Thank you for watching. I watched a debate, and here's my summary of it, my thoughts on it. The debate was about the question of how old is the universe. It was between Hugh Ross and Danny Faulkner. It was on the John Ankerberg show. This was unique in the formatting of the debate because they had the debate and then they came back later. I think he said it was 18 months later, after they got scientists to fact check the scientific claims made in the debate. Alright. So, Danny Faulkner was the young Earth creationist in the debate. He talked about the limits. There are things that there are limits we can see. For example, the moon is leaving the Earth. At one point it would have been touching, or so close that it would have caused catastrophic tides, or the Roche's limit would have torn it apart. And so it can't be as old as Hugh Ross and those who agree with him say because of those limits. Comets lose material every time they get close to the sun because they're big blocks of ice, big balls of ice going through space. And we're still getting comets, but we should have run out of comets a long time ago if this were an old creation. Hugh Ross, I'm doing a much shorter summary of this than I have on my other debate videos. Hugh Ross got a second turn to speak, and he did not really give proof of what he believes. He just puts it out there, and what he believes is he quotes all the latest, most faddish, popular scientific ideas. To his credit, he did point out that he thinks evolution would take quadrillions of years to get all the animal life we have. He's not a theistic evolutionist, he's just an old Earth creationist. So he says it was created. He believes that rock layers represent millions of years of time, and he says that we can see that God finished creating on day 6 because rock layer, new stuff being created, and then nothing new. I think there's a better explanation for the rock layers, but that's how he explained them. He had a lot of examples of formulas where he claimed you should have formulas about like supernovas, how they spread, things like that. If the universe was 6,000 years old, there should be this many of this thing. If it is expanding, this many. If there's a steady state, there should be this many of those things. He used a different terminology to insult the people who disagree with him, that are young Earth creationists. This debate was supposed to be about the age of the universe, but you know, biological evolution came up, and when Hugh Ross pointed out that we don't have enough time for evolutionism to happen, the biological evolution. So I appreciated that point, but maybe we don't need the billions of years for the other things to happen if there's an all-powerful God making things. Alright, so usually I've heard people that want to make fun of young Earth creationists or insult them, calling them hyper-evolutionists, because the rates of speciation are believed by them, with some good scientific evidence, to be much faster than evolutionism says. Evolutionism says, you know, it took billions of years to get all the animal life because of the slow rates of change, but there's some good evidence, some examples we've seen of animals speciating, becoming a new species very quickly. And that quick rate of speciation explains how we could have all land animal life on one big boat and have that animal life populate the whole Earth with the variety of species that we have. But he called it efficient Darwinian evolution instead of hyper efficient. But he was getting at the same point. Hugh Ross, as an old Earth creationist, believes God made stuff, but it's been around a long time. So he doesn't believe the evolution exactly, but he believes a long time. And let's see. Yeah, but that's not a legitimate point. We shouldn't say that. It's not Darwinian evolution. It's not hyper or efficient Darwinian evolution. If there are limits, if it does not go back to a common ancestor, because Darwin, it's a unique thing he said, different than what everyone else was saying about speciation, different than what Christians and creationists were saying, have been saying, is that you can have everything have one common ancestor without God making it. Okay, Hugh Ross accused young Earth creationists of saying that the physics were different at the beginning of the Earth, and that's how we could have light traveling so fast from the stars that are billions of light years away. The more common thing that I've heard people say about how we can have stars billions of light years away and see them now with a young everything is that God created it so the light was already created coming here. I don't subscribe to that one. Well, let's see. I'll get more to that in my summary. Alright, then Hugh Ross got to speak again. I don't know if they cut something out because Danny Faulkner did not get to speak again. Then they came back. I think they said it was 18 months later with a panel of 3 or 4 scientists. We're all astronomers and Christians to fact check. And Hugh Ross, as part of this thing, talked about his conversion story. And I found it I found it not convincing. If you decided to convert to believing in God because you heard Hugh Ross, wow, I'm confused by you. I don't think he's that persuasive. If the only Christian you've heard much of is Hugh Ross and you're still an atheist, I think you're exhibiting good logic, but he claims that what got him to decide to be a Christian was seeing the Big Bang in the Bible, and the Bible saying there was a beginning, which matches the Big Bang hypothesis. No, the Bible does not say that there was a beginning of everything. When it says in the beginning, it means the beginning of the story. God's letting us know in Genesis about this earth that He made for us. That's what it's the beginning of. The beginning of this story. This creation of this planet for us. Not everything. Not the whole universe. Alrighty. And Danny Faulkner pointed out that the definition of science matters, and science used to be just trying to find the truth by the scientific method. But now there's some people whose definition of scientist, and we're talking about influential scientists, is to find the natural way things happen, the materialistic way. That definition specifically excludes any potential of the supernatural. And I think that is ridiculous. I think that is ridiculous because you should want to find out the truth, whatever it is. And so it's ridiculous to, not want to find the truth or to already decide before you look into something what the answer is. Alright, so in summary, this was an interesting debate. The young Earth creationist Danny Faulkner exhibited better logic, better explanation of things, but neither of these men lined up perfectly with my understanding of things. Hugh Ross, yeah, he pointed out as part of this debate, he didn't spend a lot of time talking about it, but I've watched other videos of his. He doesn't believe Noah's flood really happened. A defender of his now would say, no, he really does. Okay, let's be more precise. He believes that when it says all of the high hills, it didn't cover all the high hills on the whole earth. It just covered whatever high hills Noah was talking about, or like that Noah couldn't see anything because the flood covered enough land that in part of the flood Noah couldn't see anything. I mean any land. You could see water only until the horizon. And he doesn't believe the time scale of Noah's flood. He believes Noah's flood was more than 4,000 years ago, a long, long time ago. So, I say that's a very different flood if it doesn't, that's a different, not believing in the flood, or it's different enough to say he doesn't believe in the flood if he's believing in something that was a regional flood at a very different time scale, did not save all the animals on the earth, only saved all the cows and chickens, the domestic livestock, but not all life. The Bible clearly does not say that. It clearly says. Yeah, one thing that Hugh Ross does is he goes to an extreme in trying to find out what the Hebrew words mean. Sometimes in this debate he was quoting things and making stuff up, saying things that are not in the Bible. Alright, but Danny Faulkner, the young Earth creationist in this debate, I'm not a perfect copy of him in understanding of things because of me pointing out that Genesis, in the beginning, is talking about this earth. That's the whole point in the creation accounts, is letting us know God made this earth for us. Not the whole entire universe. And, of course, when God created, the verb bara, or barak in Hebrew, which is where translated into create in the English translations, does not mean making out of nothing. It means you're working with what you have available, creating out of materials that are already there. So my understanding is that this earth is a recent creation, but the universe never had a beginning. All matter is just, it's always been here. We've got no evidence otherwise. And we've got good reason, by revelations from God, to not believe that. So, thank you for watching. You have a good day.